This week we were able to choose our own projects to do, and I decided to do two different projects this week. The first one I did was the LCD display. So the original project, the screen just says Hello World, but I decided to personalize it a little bit and add my name. So going through this was a very easy setup, amazingly. I thought it would be a lot harder just looking at the pictures. Once I got everything lined up, it came together very easily. And looking at the code, I had to make sure that the Liquid Crystal library was installed on my Arduino, and it was, so I didn't have to do anything with that. The LCD was plugged into pins 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. The cursor and things like that talks about where it wants it to begin on the LCD. The contrast with the screen is controlled by the potentiometer. And what that controls is the contrast between each white box for each character space and the blue screen. So if you turn it up all of the way, the box becomes completely white. And if you turn it down all the way, the white completely disappears. So you have to turn it to find the happy medium to where your text shows up. It took me a little bit to figure out what this number that was displaying below the text was. And I realized that it wanted to print the number of seconds that had gone by since the reset button was pressed last. So eventually I took this off just to see what it would look like, and it looks a lot cleaner. But that's what this code does. For my next code, I did the DC motor. For this one, I like having the sound on because you can actually hear the fan blowing and the motor running. So for this one, with the code, everything had to be enabled as an output. And then there were several different options for the code in this one. The first one was one way and then reverse. This meant that it started out rotating clockwise and then counterclockwise, as you can see here. One way reverse, one way reverse. And then it went to fast and then slow, and then it goes with the modulation full then slow. So it goes as fast as it can and then slows down to its minimum, and then starts at the minimum and goes all the way back up to its maximum. And slows down, and then speeds back up. That one right there is where it slows down to its minimum and then speeds back up to its maximum. And that's what happens with this code. So there wasn't any LEDs to use or anything, but I did have to use a chip that you can see right here, which it took me a little bit to read about. I thought it was really cool that, like I said in my blog, it is made by Texas Instruments, since my grandfather worked there, and part of what he did while he was there was create the resistors. So I thought that was really cool kind of tie between last week and this week. When I first looked through the project guide, this was one that I really wanted to do, especially since I even opened my kit. I thought this one would be really cool to do. It took a little bit to set up just because of the amount of wires and the fact that you were also having to use a plug besides the power from the Arduino, just because it uses so much power to power the motor. I did not realize that that was a thing, but live and learn. So this one was really cool and was definitely not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I did get confused at one point because the next project in the book involves using a relay with this project. And so I thought I was completely wrong and had missed it, and then tried to use the relay with it, and then the code would no longer work and I couldn't figure out why. And then simply scrolled back up in my guide and realized that there is a project that does not use the relay and that I was all right. So I just took the relay back off and everything worked again. So this week I really enjoyed getting to choose my own projects. They weren't nearly as challenging as I thought they were going to be, though I still have some issues understanding some of the code. And I tried for a third project using the 4:7 segment display, and I could get it to work, but I absolutely do not understand the code at all. So I decided to leave that one off for this week as I can continue tinkering with it.